me bring in Mustafa Barghouti. I mean, I found it curious the way that he tried to claim this was some great victory for Iran and that they had deliberately fired very cheap missiles and that they never expected them to work, etc., etc. None of that seemed very plausible to me. It seemed much more plausible that they fired off 300 missiles that got taken down not just by Israel's Iron Dome, but also by some neighboring Arab countries. And what it did do was massively distract world attention from the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, which I would not think is a good thing for you or for what you're trying to get the world to pay attention to.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Piers Morgan questions about Iran's missile claims, suggesting the strategy that they used was as shaky as a house of cards. Dr. Mustafa counters with facts, challenging Piers' narrative, but the exchange heats up as Fleur attempts to interject, only to be humorously silenced by Dr. Mustafa. A clash of perspectives, leaving viewers questioning and pondering the biases at play. Let's jump into it.
Well, who started this terrible situation? It's Netanyahu. No, wait. It's Netanyahu who tried to distract the attention from the massacres he's committing in Gaza and the genocide that has taken the lives of 41,000 Palestinian, mostly civilian. 70% of them are civilians, women and children. 15,000 children slaughtered by Netanyahu and more than 10,000 women. You speak about women's rights. You don't care about the fact that Netanyahu killed 10,000 women, Palestinian women. And Netanyahu provoked Iran to have a retaliation. So that, shut up, please, and let me finish. Shut up. No, you are. If you interrupt me, I will not talk. You shut up and let me finish.
You're being very misogynistic.
No. You can't have the right to speak and not allow me to speak. Can you shut up? And because these are figures that are confirmed by the United Nations.
Shut up is a
and
very
you cannot
rude,
tolerate
hearing
the truth and reality. Shut up your mouth up and let me finish, please. I did not interrupt you.
Very polite.
If you interrupt me, I will not speak.
Very diplomatic.
Mr. Pierce, you have to be fair and run the show properly. Do you want to do that or shall I leave your show?
Don't lie. Don't lie about numbers. Please don't lie about numbers.
I don't want you to leave the show.
If Dr. Barghouti told me to shut up, I would.
Hang on, we all talk over each other. Nobody can hear anything. Let me please, can everyone just please?
Lady to keep interrupting me.
No, but I would say for the record,
can I finish my response?
I don't think repeatedly shouting "shut up" at a woman is particularly edifying either. So, okay, you may finish your point. Yes.
Okay, but it's not because she's a woman. It's because she's interrupting me. Can you ask them not to interrupt me? My condition to participate in your show is that I will not be interrupted and I will be treated in a civilized manner. Will you provide that or I will leave your show? It's up to you.
I will treat you in a civilized manner. But I think what she was doing,
then
and
no
I can ask
interruption.
you this.
You are the one who is Mr. Pierce. You are the one who's running the show. You are the one who's running the show. You are biased to Israel. We know that. You are pro-Israeli. We know that. I don't care about this. I am ready to answer any of your questions, but don't let your guests interrupt me.
As you know, I have given a platform to more pro-Palestinian guests than any other show in the world, right? So I haven't taken a side here. I don't take sides.
You are allowing this lady. You are allowing.
No, I've just told you. You can finish your point.
To interrupt me. She should not interrupt me.
No, I've asked her not to.
Well, then let me
finish your point.
This situation was initiated. This situation was initiated because Netanyahu wanted to provoke Iran. He wants to prolong this war as long as he can, so that he can continue this slaughter of the Palestinian people. He knows very well that the first day of the end of this war, the last day of this war, will be the first day of the end of his political career. He knows he will go to jail because of 4 cases of corruption against him. He knows he will be investigated for the fact that he failed on the 7th of October, and now he's failing in this war. And this man wants to drag the whole Middle East into a terrible fight. He wants to provoke Iran so that exactly what happened will happen, which is to provoke the United States to go into a war with Iran like United States was provoked to go into a war with Iraq. That is the reality. And so this whole situation was provoked by an unacceptable attack on a diplomatic mission. Even in wars, countries don't attack diplomatic missions of others. And in this case, Israel violated that law. He provoked also the war by attacking and killing 7 international aid workers. And he continues the genocide against Palestinians. The figures are correct because that's what the United Nations say. 41,000 Palestinians killed, including 7,000 under the rubble, including 15,000 children, including 10,000 women at least, and there are 76,000 other Palestinians injured. Israel is conducting 3 war crimes at the same time. The war crime of genocide, the war crime of ethnic cleansing, and the war crime of collective punishment. And that's why you have about 700,000 people now starving in the north, including 350,000 children. That is the reality. You spoke about terrorism. Who is the terrorist here? Is it the people who are struggling to get their freedom from the longest occupation in modern history? The people who are trying to get out of the system of apartheid? Or is it those who are oppressing them? Let me tell you, the same European mind, the same mind that allowed the horrible Holocaust against Jewish people is the same mind that is allowing now a Holocaust against Palestinian people. And these people don't care about Jews, don't care about Palestinians, don't care about Arabs. They only care about their interest, about their economic gains, and about a continuation of a settler colonial project that is subjecting Palestinians to oppression and subjecting the whole region into a very dangerous path. That is the reality.
Okay, I gave you a long time to speak there. Let me bring in Francesca. You were nodding to a lot of what you were just hearing there from Mustafa Barghouti. Did you broadly agree with him?
I do, and if Mr. Barghouti ever told me to shut up Dr. Barghouti, I would shut up because I've greatly admired his work over these many years. Look, I'm coming at this as an American. I'm coming at this as someone who just paid their taxes far too much, if you ask me. I'm not a billionaire. They pay next to nothing. And my tax money went to funding what I believe is a genocide and what 57% of Biden voters say is a genocide. That just came out, whether you like it or not. And I also come at this as a mom. All right, I have an 18-month-old daughter, and there are 10,000 women in Gaza who were killed, and 6,000 of them were mothers. There are 19,000 orphans in Gaza right now, and 60,000 pregnant women who are giving birth in abject conditions, who are struggling to eat, to feed themselves, to feed their unborn children, and mothers who are struggling to even nurse because you need so many calories when you're a nursing mom, right? And they are starving. So that's where I'm coming at this from. Why? I'm asking President Biden, why are we continuing to fund this? And thankfully, in response to the Iranian attack, right, which whether or not you believe it was performative or real, whatever it was, Biden has actually, for the first time, hallelujah, argued for some amount of restraint, saying we're not going to go there in an offensive against Iran, depending on what Israel does. Now, that's fine, but also, I'm going to just point out, we're still funding them with billions of dollars of weapons. None of that money, none of that aid has been cut off, as up in arms and upset as some Israeli officials are. And final point, it's very funny to be lectured about... Yeah. It's funny to be lectured about human rights.
Go on, finish your point. Sorry.
Final point. It's funny to be lectured about human rights. Oh, Iran doesn't have human rights. Look, I'm no fan of the Iranian regime. I don't come on here to stump for the Iranian regime. I don't stump for the American regime. I stump for humans and human rights. But it is funny that Israel, which has basically controlled its population and occupies an entire people in order to not make them citizens, in order to deny them fundamental human rights by design, that they are then lecturing other countries about what they do to their own people. Give me a break. We all see through this.
Okay,
as a
here's
mom,
what I
I
would say
want
to
to
you
ask you, how do you feel about 1-year-old Kafir Bibas, who is currently in a dungeon, who was kidnapped by Hamas terrorists, a 1-year-old? How do you feel about that as a mom? A one-year-old little
terrible,
baby,
but,
ginger baby called
that is
Kafir
terrible.
Bibas.
That is
Terrible.
one-year-old.
Do you think,
that
would
is,
you want
that is
your
awful.
government to go and save your baby? Would you want your government to go and save your baby? Just
Yeah.
a question. I'm a mom
tell
also.
the Israeli
Would
government,
you want your
tell
government
Netanyahu
to
to
save
get
your
on
baby?
that. Maybe
Would
a
you want your
ceasefire
government
would be
to
a
save
good
your
way
baby?
to start doing
okay.
that.
So
Yeah.
yes, so 2 days ago, Hamas rejected another deal for a ceasefire, a very generous deal for a ceasefire, so we can bring back our babies like your 18-month-old baby. What do you say to that? A ceasefire. They rejected a ceasefire 2
I'm
days
sure you're
ago.
right.
You don't know your
Yes,
facts. I don't know who you are. I don't know what gives you credibility to come on this show, but I'm asking you as a mother.
Piers, can I ask
2
a
days
question?
ago, we could have already seen a ceasefire, and Hamas said no. They have a 1-year-old baby and his 3-year-old
Deputy
brother
Mayor
and
of
their
Jerusalem.
mother.
I know
And
that
the mother.
Israel is
That's
planning to
not
go
good.
forward with an
mother.
invasion of Rafah.
And their
They're going to
mother.
Okay,
invade
let me.
Rafah.
Okay.
How is
Hang on a
the
second.
table?
All right,
As a
don't all talk
mother,
at once.
As a mother, how
I
do
hear
you
you.
feel about Hamas rejecting the peace,
Okay.
the peace
Pierce,
deal
can I ask
Let me
in
take
order
this
to
up,
stop
please.
the war?
Please.
Let me please take up the conversation. I want to ask Francesca this question: is that I completely agree that the plight of innocent Palestinians is horrific. The death toll of innocent Palestinian women and children in particular has appalled everybody. However, I also understand that after October the 7th, Israel felt a visceral national desire to go after the people that perpetrated that horrific terror attack. And my question for you would be, going back to October the 7th, what should Israel have done? Given that the people who perpetrated this, Hamas, do embed themselves amongst the civilians in the way that we now know through the tunnel system and everything else based around hospitals and schools and so on. Given that that's how they exist in Gaza, given they perpetrated this heinous terror attack, what should Israel have done?
So here's what I would have liked my government to have done. If my government is one of the most advanced militaries in the world, if it has a map of every man, woman, and child in an area that they actually control, the airspace, the land, the sea to, I would expect them to know exactly where the so-called terrorists are. But that's not actually what Israel has been doing. Israel has been using an AI technology that deliberately targets suspected militants, but they're only suspected, meaning they were on a group chat with it's unfounded. Israeli journalists have covered this, and they target them when? As soon as they enter where? Their homes, where their families are, where it will maximize the amount of civilian casualties. So what I can tell you, what I would want my government to do, and what the United States government has asked Israel to do, although of course with a little whimper, please, right, is to be precise, to take a step back, to not just collectively punish the people of Gaza for the crimes of a select small few, many of whom were not even born when Hamas came into power. How can you call this also a war, Piers? Let's stop calling this a war. A war is when two equal sides actually fight. There's battle lines, there's this and that. I see IDF soldiers parading around with women's lingerie in the homes that they have raided, mocking them, mocking the trinkets, the items, the loved things that the Palestinian people will never be able to hold ever again. That is not a war. This is a genocide. This is a mockery of what should be a so-called war.
If you made it this far, thanks for hanging in there like drywalls and shingles. If we learned anything from this rodeo tonight, it's that double standards are the real headliners in the circus. On one hand, Israel seems to have perfected the art of hypocrisy, talking a big game about human rights and precision warfare while simultaneously dishing out contradictions that would make a contortionist blush. They lecture about ethics and legality, yet their actions suggest they're playing by a rule book that only applies to everyone else. And then there's our dynamic duo, Fleur and Piers, who treat Shut Up like it's a golden ticket to a show. One minute they're decrying the lack of ceasefire and champion selective outrage, and the next they're busy turning interruptions into an art form, wielding their double standards like a confetti at a parade. As we wrap up this bizarre blend of political ping pong and selective decibel control, it's hard not to laugh at the irony. While Israel juggles its own contradictions on the international stage, Fleur and Piers are busy ensuring that only their preferred narratives get the final word. Now, that, folks, is a masterclass in double standards worthy of an encore. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments who took the cake in this heated debate. Don't forget to like, share, and I'll catch you on the next one.